So what do you think makes a good distillery?
Distillery has to be efficient for production, and it has to be beautiful. And I like to say it's the last beautiful building type. I know, and I just say that to wind people up, but it's true. Like, when did you last see a beautiful school? When did you last see a beautiful hospital? When did you last see a beautiful, even churches aren't beautiful anymore, you know, but a branded building represents a brand. So it has to be beautiful. It takes that brand around the world. I mean, look what Macallan did when they wanted to rebrand or to extend and emphasize the prestige brand that they had.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of money on a spaceship.
Yeah.
The prestige spaceship. So a distillery, on the one hand, it's got to be a brilliant place to make whiskey. It's got to function very well. It's got to be very efficient. And we know that some of the big distilleries built in the not too distant past were built kind of back to front, didn't work very well, difficult places to work. So it doesn't mean you can't make whiskey in them, but it's not going to be as cheap, it's not going to be as easy. And then it has to be a brilliant place to visit for punters, for visitors. And then you've got to try to aim that visit for what they call paddlers and divers, so people that know an awful lot about distilling. I mean, some of the like German geeks, the Norwegian geeks that come around, they want to get under the floor, they want full access. Other people who are maybe just visiting on holiday,
Yeah.
they've never been to a distillery, they just want to see what it's all about. So that's it. It's got to hit those two targets. It's got to be efficient, an efficient working space, and a lot of that stuff we learnt with Jim Swan very early on. Something like a courtyard, you know, where you can access all faces of the building.
Yeah.
You can access the back, you can access the front, you can get right the way around it. Vehicle traffic's easy. There's a place to put the effluent, there's a place to take the draft out. It's nice and close to the farms and so on.
Yeah, and I think like some of them have a definite kind of a front face that's your public face, and then you've got the working side of it. But then others are much more like, this is a production facility, and
Yeah.
you get to kind of see everything, and it's maybe not, it's not as refined maybe, but maybe that's better for your one type of visitors. Or like I think like sometimes we've got clients who aren't interested necessarily in visitors at the start, you know, like so they want to make it all about the product, and so if they're doing something unique in the process, so you know, like if they've got like, I don't know, like worm tub condensers, or they're using timber wash baths,
Yeah.
and all those kind of things, like, so there's different priorities for those different types of spaces, and I think it is trying to figure out who is that customer that you're aiming for. Is it going to be the volume people who come to Scotland and want to see something Scottish in the, you know, in a usually a really nice location?
Yeah.
Or is it people who are really interested and invested in whiskey? And I think that's where, because of the lessons from these earlier craft distillers, like now people are much more direct in their approach. Like you would say someone like Port of Leith, you know, like their kind of business is built around a huge volume of tourists.
Yeah.
Whereas like some of the ones that we're looking at the moment are pure production factories that are, you know, they still need to have a certain amount of high-end finishes and whatever, because you're trying to sell maybe like millions of litres to people rather than a bottle.
Yeah.
So there's all those different kind of things, and I think the clients now understand those things a bit more.
Yeah.
So they're not spending money unnecessarily on high-end finishes if you're not going to have visitors that appreciate that.
Yeah. There's that strange thing as well, counterintuitive thing, that lots of the established distilleries, they've kind of reached capacity, and they're trying to reduce the number of visitors but increase the amount of money per head that you get. So they're driving the quality and the cost of the visit up. And then that needs to be reflected in the environment that they create. And, you know, refitting tasting rooms, refitting warehouses to tell the story better. So that's counterintuitive, but that's happening at the same time as the market matures.